The only survivor of the infamous Custer's last stand and a veteran of many Indian battles, Sergeant John Martin, USA, resides in a modest home near historic Fort McHenry. Originally from Italy, Sergeant Martin's real name is Martini, and he served in the military for 30 years straight before retiring recently. Sergeant Martin recalls the events, saying, "As the only white man to witness the Custer fight and live to tell the tale, I owe my survival to General Custer himself. When orders were given for an expedition against the Sioux under Sitting Bull, I was a trumpeter in Troop H, 7th Cavalry, which was based at Fort Rice in the Black Hills. The 7th Cavalry, our detachment, started toward the valley. In the evening of June 24th, following a protracted march, we set up camp and got ready to sleep. We were suddenly told, however, to disband our tent and march on till dawn. On the morning of the 26th, one of our scouts reported finding a sizable Indian village along the ever-fresher route we were following. Following a discussion with his officers, General Custer decided to split our force into 3 battalions. Major Reno would lead one of these battalions, which would move quickly to confront the Indians who were said to be running away. Captain Benteen would lead his battalion in a parallel course to the left, with Custer providing support with his battalion. To handle any escaping Indians, Captain McDougal also oversaw a rear guard. Our 3 battalions departed on a sunny morning, unaware of the impending death trap that lay ahead. Major Reno abruptly vanished from view after veering towards the Little Bighorn for unclear reasons. We came upon a large number of dead buffaloes strewn across the plains after traveling roughly 3 kilometers, suggesting that the Indians had not yet returned from their hunt. Custer climbed a tall knoll and looked down on the Indian village. There were just ladies, kids, and dogs in sight, not any fighters. Before leaving for home, he assured us that this would be a simple undertaking and called another meeting of his officers. An first trooper came forward when Custer asked for a messenger. When Custer asked the policeman about his troop, the soldier said, "No, you won't do." Custer declined. Custer also turned down another volunteer trooper. "I want that man," Custer finally said, pointing at me. I said H when he inquired my troop. He confirmed, "You are the man I want. Deliver this message to Benteen and Reno. Go back safely. Inform me. Stay with Reno and give him the report if you come across Indians." Custer's adjutant wrote and signed the note, which said the following: "Big village, hurry up. Move quickly. Bring packs cook." Custer's tiny group was attacked by a swarm of screaming Indians who had just emerged from an ambush after Custer's forces had just reached the ravine. They excited the horses to a frenzied state by brandishing fresh buffalo skins and antelope hides. The soldiers found it difficult to manage their horses and were unable to use their rifles or handguns. The order to dismount was finally issued. The horses were protected by one detachment, but the others bravely resisted the Indians. There was mayhem and a stampede as a result of the Indians attacking the troopers in charge of the horses. The men fought till the very end, desperate to defend themselves because they had no way out. When the troops formed a square, they were surrounded by horse-drawn Indians who methodically picked them off until all of the soldiers were dead. I was the first to alert Captain Benton of the attack on Custer and give the urgent warning. We hurried to discover Major Reno, who was bareheaded, distraught, and in a very anxious state. He cried, "My God, Benteen, half of my command has been killed." Benton made a quick advance on Custer, but Reno thought it would be better if the 2 battalions moved forward together. As Reno reorganized his decimated regiment and gathered the injured, we lost about 5 minutes. At last, we rushed forward as quickly as we could. Unfortunately, we learned that Custer's entire command had been massacred when we arrived at the location. The Indians who had destroyed Custer's detachment had allied with the ones who had vanquished Reno, and they were now directly pursuing us. It was now around 3 o'clock, and the carnage had happened between 12 and 1. In order to prepare for a furious conflict, we took cover in a clearing and formed a tightly knit square, placing the wounded in the middle. And that's exactly what we got. There was an unrelenting firefight on both sides for hours between 4 and 7. The shooting persisted until it briefly stopped, then resumed at around 2 in the morning and continued until 7. Generals Terry and Gibbons had already begun to provide much-needed reinforcement by that point. It wasn't too soon. We all went to the massacre site together, where we saw the dead bodies of the troops who had died. I clearly remember finding General Custer's corpses in the gruesome aftermath. He had two severe gunshot wounds, one in his left temple and one through his chest, and his clothes had been ripped apart. His head rested against one of the gray horse's bellies as he lay between the two dead horses.